Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to change your relationship with food, eating, and your overall health forever. The way you view eating and the way you do eating will fundamentally change on all levels. This video contains everything I have learned over the years to eat healthy and get in great shape. Backed by science, backed by experience. When I was an overweight, anxiety-ridden, all-around unhealthy person, I prayed for advice like this. Now that it has found you, take that as a sign that you need to take the next 10 minutes to drastically improve the next 10 years. All that said, why are we hyper-fixated on weight in the US? In the 1960s and 70s, obesity rates in the US were relatively low and stable. Only about 13% of adults were classified as obese. But in the early 80s, obesity rates began to increase sharply. This coincided with increased consumption of processed and fast foods, more sedentary lifestyles, think TV, computers, cars, and changes in food policy, like high fructose corn syrup becoming a main ingredient. Then in the 90s, obesity rates almost tripled. By the early 2000s, 30% of adults and 17% of children were obese. In response, the US Surgeon General, the CDC, and the World Health Organization declared obesity a chronic disease and epidemic. As of today, over 40% of American adults are obese. Almost half of this country is suffering from the same ailment, and we are still pretending like this is a matter of people getting more disciplined, eating healthier, and hitting the gym. In the 60s, when obesity was a non-issue, getting dietarily disciplined, eating foods categorized as healthy, and lifting weights were almost foreign concepts. There is something much bigger at play here, and by the end of this video, we will get to the bottom of it and figure out how we can beat it. Americans have the hardest choice to make. Yes, our weight is a result of our choices, but those choices don't happen in a vacuum. In America, we live in an environment where making the right food choices is one of the hardest things we can do. Think about it. We're surrounded by ultra-processed, addictive food, engineered to light up our brains and make us crave more, but not nourish us. Fast food on every corner, or delivered to your door in 10 minutes. Sedentary towns and cities. We've designed our lives around cars, not walking, biking, or moving naturally. Constant stress. Work more, sleep less, grind harder. And when we are anxious, tired, or burnt out, what is the easiest medicine to reach for? Comfort food. And bad food policies. We subsidize pesticides and corn syrup. We allow additives in our food that are illegal substances in other countries. Most of our snacks blur the line between food and chemical cocktails. We aren't just choosing between healthy and unhealthy foods. To eat well in America, we are forced to choose against our environment, our routines, our marketplace, and our social life. The problem is we have so few healthy choices that we often find ourselves in a position where we are psychologically beating ourselves up just for eating anything at all. And the worse we feel, the worse we eat. Almost all of my clients and myself have found ourselves caught in this cycle at one point or another. First, we get a bad feeling that we use food to cope with. Then we eat something that we feel is unhealthy, which again is very hard for us Americans not to do. Then we feel bad about what we ate. Then those bad feelings lead to more bad eating habits, and on and on and on. So if we are operating from the standpoint that our environment is against us, and that isn't likely to change anytime soon, what can we do as individuals? How can we do right by ourselves, even with the unhealthy system we have been force-fed? Well, first, we need to recognize that if our external environment is against us, this becomes an internal problem. That creates a big elephant in the room that we have to address. If you're eating because of your feelings, you're eating because of fear. Most Americans aren't eating because they're hungry. They're eating because they are stressed out, overworked, and emotionally overwhelmed. We aren't lacking nutrients. We're lacking peace. I surveyed all my clients and asked what emotions triggered unnecessary eating, and these 4 came up again and again. Anxiety, the fear that something is wrong or will go wrong, and eating becomes a way to calm our nerves. Boredom, the fear of stillness, of unoccupied time, of being left alone with our thoughts. The fear of resigning ourselves to the reality that this is our life at this moment. And food becomes an escape. Procrastination, the fear of failure or discomfort in action, and food becomes a delay tactic. And finally, stress and burnout, the fear that we can't handle what life is throwing at us, and food becomes a brief moment of control. So if you are eating because of how you feel, you are eating because of fear. And if fear is driving, it's not your body that's steering, it's your pain. That's why the first step to solving this problem is awareness. Start noticing, am I hungry or am I just feeling something I don't want to feel? And once you've practiced that awareness often enough, start trusting a better compass, your body. A simple framework that's helped my clients is this satiation scale. The goal? Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're not. Try to recognize the feeling of each of these numbers in yourself. Then start eating at a 3 and stop eating at a 5 or a 6. I give you my word, staying in this range will ensure you make healthier choices. Trust me, I know from experience that waiting until you are extremely hungry to eat does not end well. So start when you are somewhat hungry and your body will thank you. Bonus tip, if you live with a partner or you share meals often, I highly recommend learning this scale together. It will transform the way you support each other, not just with food, but with empathy. Learn to tune into what your body actually needs, not what your feelings are demanding. Because the truth is, when we learn to eat with awareness and compassion, we're not just healing our bodies, we're healing our fear. Stick around, there are way more insights and tips to come. Weight is an insufficient metric for health. Let's look at this through the prism of values and metrics. This idea comes from Mark Manson, who talks about values and metrics in his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. The gist is, if you choose the wrong metric to measure whether or not you are succeeding at your values, you will always feel like you are failing, even when you're not. So, let's say your value is, I want to be healthy. And let's say you use weight as your metric to measure this value. So, for example, you may say, if I lose weight, I'm getting healthier. But remember, we live in an environment where being overweight at times is nearly inevitable. Ultra-processed food is everywhere, movement is optional, stress is constant. So what happens? We step on the scale and we feel like a failure. Even though our value is good and hasn't changed, the metric is betraying us. And that creates a cycle of guilt, shame, and anxiety. And here's the kicker. Guilt doesn't make us healthier. Anxiety doesn't help us achieve a proper weight. In fact, they push us further from health. Because when we're feeling anxious or ashamed, we don't listen to our bodies. We listen to our feelings. Then we end up listening to our cravings and making bad choices. So this isn't a weight issue. It's a metrics issue, a values issue, a guilt and anxiety issue. If we want to truly be healthy, then we need better metrics to measure our healthiness by. Instead of asking how much do I weigh today, try these metrics instead. What kind of mindset am I in when I start to eat? How calm and satisfied do I feel after I eat? Do I eat things that bring me joy and satisfaction, or comfort and distraction? How well am I sleeping? How clearly can I think? How connected do I feel to my body? Let your body determine what you eat, not your feelings. And definitely not a number on the scale. Weight is a metric created and pushed by an unhealthy society. It's marketed like it's the ultimate sign of wellness, but in reality, it's a symptom of a sick culture. A culture that profits off of our insecurity. A culture that encourages emotional eating and sells us shame for dessert. Just because weight is the most advertised metric doesn't mean it's the most important one. We need to stop letting a broken system define our metrics for success and start listening to the system that actually wants to heal us. Our bodies. It's not about what you eat, it's about how you eat. Look, you already know which foods are healthy and which aren't. That's not the problem. The problem is how we eat. So here's a mindset shift I offer my clients. Pretend every food choice you make today is going to be unhealthy. No shame, no rules, no labels. Just assume the damage is done and be okay with it. With that kind of pressure off your back, your real power shows up. Not in what you eat, but in how you eat it. Because how you eat determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what gets eaten next. Here are some simple strategies to help you eat with more awareness, more control, and less anxiety. Adopt an always get a box mentality. Whether you're eating out or at home, act like leftovers are part of the plan. Eating out, ask for a box with your meal, not after. Eating at home, pull out the Tupperware before you sit down. Only eat when you're hungry. Not when you're bored, anxious, lonely, depressed, or impatient. Feelings are not hunger cues. Let your body decide, not your emotions. Stop before you're full. This is one I am so epically, chronically guilty of, but I'm going to try and change and start setting a good example for y'all. We need to aim to stop around a 6 on the satiation scale. If we eat until we are full, we are already past the point of enough. Let's eat for satisfaction, not for stuffing. Eat when you feel good, not to feel good. Food should enhance a good state, not rescue a bad one. Just this subtle shift alone can transform your relationship with eating. Chew at least 20 times. Yes, until we form the habit, we should literally count. This will slow us down. It will give our brain time to register satisfaction. It helps you savor your food like you are treating yourself, not surviving. Avoid vacuum cleaner mode. Again, I've been there. People are horrified by how fast I eat, but speed kills awareness. It typically takes about 15 to 20 minutes for your body to register that you're full after you start eating. Honestly, this is huge because it might have a lot less to do with what you are eating and a lot more to do with how fast you are eating it. Move more, even if it's just a little. Look, I work remotely and I live in a driving town too. Natural movement is not part of the modern workday. So I park far away from where I'm going on purpose and I always take the stairs. Tiny movements compound. Motion begets motion. Bonus tip, if you're wondering what to actually eat more of, here is a simple rule. Eat what makes you feel clear, calm, and strong. For me, that means things like meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, and fruit. Not because they're trendy, but because they leave me feeling more like myself. For the record, I eat a lot of unhealthy crap too. What can I say? I'm an American. Remember, at the end of the day, this isn't about food. It's about fear. It's about learning to stop feeding the pain and start nourishing the person. Please don't be so hard on yourself. Not only because you deserve better, but because it's impractical. Beating yourself up will not help you eat better. When we feel good, we will eat good. Now you know, so now you can start. And if you need me, I'm always here to help. My name is Henry, and I blend physical fitness, mental health strategies, and spiritual principles to help you overcome anxiety and lead a more fulfilling life. You can think of me like your personal trainer for anxiety. We can connect, I can coach you, and I look forward to getting to know you and walking this path together. So if you are struggling with anxiety, please take the first step and book a call with me directly at the link in the description. Remember, your body hears everything your mind says. Speak gently. Stay strong and keep experimenting.